you can live a life in flow where your deepest heart's desires become reality. At Set to Love, we offer strategies and ideas on how you can stay out of crazy town. See, your human experience is meant to be lived with meaning, purpose, and creativity. You are here to contribute through your essence. We are best friends, moms, entrepreneurs, and above all, find our flow in assisting you to find yours. We come together weekday mornings to bring you ideas to fall deeper in love with your life and the journey that you are on. Take what works and ditch the rest, and always stay set to love. Thank you for being a part of this community. We're all designed to live in flow. So let's go.
Happiness at hand. What does that mean? Well, this morning I'm so excited to have Tann Moore back, my not only wonderful friend and therapist. So excited to have her this morning, but I want to not forget my other buddy down here, Eva Payne. Good morning, everybody. So we really need to hear about happiness, Tann. So I'm excited to hear what you have to say. So good morning.
Good morning, you guys. Good morning. Good morning. You know what? First of all, I have to tell you, speaking of happiness, while I'm in the waiting room to start the show, right? Just now, there's this fun theme music that's playing. It's like going ding, 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 ding. And I love it. It's like you cannot be happy when you're listening to the theme music. So happiness is already at hand when I listen to the theme music in the waiting room. And I thought today, like with everything that's happened in 2020, we're winding down, right? We're like almost done with the year. But I think a lot of people are already speeding ahead to 2021. And they're like, 2021 is going to be much better. It's going to be, we get to leave this year behind. But I was watching, I get a lot of my inspiration from, I tell you guys all the time, TV, movies, videos, and all that. And they said on this show I was watching recently, she said, your mind should be where your body is, right? Mm-hmm. Your mind should be where your body is. And I thought, wow, what a simple concept for happiness, right? If you're thinking about the past, your head isn't where your body is. If you're thinking about the future, your head isn't where your body is. If you're thinking about, regrets or something that didn't work out, your head isn't where your body is. So I wanted to just talk about today with you guys, like, how do we focus on the present and find ways to be happy now? Because it really is at hand. And, there's no guarantee of what 2021 is going to look like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So how do you do that, Tann? What do you tell your clients who come in who are like just living in the past or living in the future and stress and anxiety, and there's those voices going on, and they really can't be in the present moment? And it really is hard to just be grounded and be here. What do you say, or what are some tactics that you would offer up?
Yeah. So the number one thing I ask them, well, I would even say before that number one thing, I always ask them to tell me something good, right? Mm-hmm. So when my clients come in, especially the first few sessions, they're like, and this happened and that happened. And it's very heavy and tearful a lot of times, but I'll say, okay, well, tell me something good about what happened in the last week. And so we start there. And a lot of times they have to really reach for it and look for it and find it. But it's like, yeah, this did happen. And then the very next thing is I ask them to tell me emotionally, socially, relationally, what is working in your life as a constant. And, they'll have to dig a little deeper even and say, well, I really like my job. For the most part, I really like my job. I'm really happy with my job. Or I really love this new puppy that I got, and so they're able to say that this is a constant that's really working. So I think having them start with a focus on what's good and then dig even deeper and say, hey, what's really working in your life? Because it's easy to focus on what's not and then to feel like we don't have happiness or we don't have access to it.
I was, that's great advice. I was at Walmart yesterday and the line started again. And when I got up towards the front, it was a long line. There probably had to have been 50 people in line. And I know the guy because from before Walmart, I go there all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Well, here we go again, in line again." And he said, "But at least we're here to be able to get in line." And
Yes.
I stopped for a second and I thought, what a wonderful answer. And so I think that's another thing too, is don't you think, Tan, if when someone does tell us something negative, maybe turn it around for them, because it really made it all of a sudden. I thought about that and I thought, wow. And I said, the cup's half full, right? And he goes, yep. And so I think if we can also practice, maybe when someone does tell us something negative, try to come up with something positive in that
Mm.
negative, and then we can help people to look at things differently.
Yeah, and this is one of the things about like the gratitude list. I was going to talk about that in a bit, but this kind of is a great segue. So one thing to think about is, isn't it what we all have been asking for? Haven't we all been asking to get back to normal? Don't we want to get back to normal? Don't we want to feel normal again? Well, that's normal. Standing in lines at Christmas time is normal, but in a split second, we're inconvenienced and it feels like happiness isn't at hand. But it's like, this is what you wanted. You wanted normal. And so normal is in the line at Walmart, right? But I think you make a great point, Shelley. It's like sometimes we have to stop and think about, well, what is another way for me to look at this? And I call it reframing. We call it reframing as therapists. It's like, how do you look at this differently? It's like you're in the line, but you're here. And there are a lot of people that started 2020 that I know that aren't here anymore. They're just gone. They're just gone for lots of reasons. Some of them COVID, some of them other reasons. And so we're here. So we got lucky, blessed, fortunate, So being in that line is a reminder of that.
Yes.
You know what,
Yeah.
Tan? I was coming back to you talking about being in your body and being present right now. And I think
Mm-hmm.
about, lately I've been like looking at old pictures and scrolling through like, what do I even have out there on social media? Like what someone went digging and looking like what's even out there. And it takes me back to these like moments when my kids were little, where I almost don't even recognize like those
Yeah.
pictures and who they are. And so because now they're bigger, and it's like that phase, it feels like a totally different chapter of my life. And
Mm-hmm.
so coming back to really, and then I'm like, I don't want this moment to feel like that moment, like just fleeting and something I don't remember. And so this practice that I heard about one time, and I think it goes back to being in your body, is when you're in that moment and you look around and you think, this is good. I've got these people that love me. I have a roof over my head. I'm doing what I love. Like when you're in a moment that you really can be appreciative of, to use all your senses. Like, how does the moment feel? What does this moment smell like? What are you
Yeah.
seeing visually? And just like really taking in an inventory to help solidify that moment, and then holding that gratitude for that moment. I think it makes it more powerful, and something where in 2 or 3 years, you're going to look back and go, oh yeah, that was such a good moment. And you're going to be able to recall it with so much more vibrance. Is that something that
Yeah.
you've ever talked about or people have mentioned to you or anything along those lines?
I've actually done some of that in practice, but one of the ones that's even more of a go-to for me
Mm-hmm.
is the looking around the room, right? Because what you're saying is, looking at family, using your, what do I smell? Which is a great way to get present and get into your body. But it makes it it can make it a tiny bit general, which then doesn't feel as connected as going, what color are the walls in the room that I'm sitting in right now? What
Mm.
does a chair feel like against the back of my thigh right now? What does the shirt feel like against my back right now? What am I experiencing in my lower back, in the bottom of my feet, inside my shoes? What are my toes doing? They're wiggling. So like really being in the body, like really in the body and using it more presently like that. So that's kind of like exactly what you're saying, but making it more like with what's happening with you right now, what you're experiencing specifically in the room right now is a really great practice to get you in your body.
Mm.
Um, that Tan, I have another question for you though, and I'm
Yeah.
thinking about the title of today, happiness at hand. Do you think people have different meanings of happiness? Do we have an expectation of happiness that that we always have to be happy? Or, you know what I'm saying? How could we reframe this a little bit? Because life isn't about always being happy. You're not happy to do your laundry. I mean, yeah, you can say, oh, I'm so lucky I have a laundry, I can do my chores at home. But all in all, how would you help people to really reframe maybe happiness? I don't know. That's what's coming to mind for me.
You ladies and these questions, y'all be asking some good questions. Okay. So I would say to that, 100% yes. There are so many different versions of happiness, right? And I think for a lot of us, if we're being honest, and I don't know if everyone will be honest about this, but if we're being honest, our version of happiness is everything's going our way. Like everything's going my way and I'm pretty happy today. But I think when you get to a certain age, especially, that you start to see that happiness is what you make it, right? So it could be so for me, I have this bracelet that my daughter got me. And when I'm having an interesting day, I won't say a bad day, but an interesting day, I'll just touch the bracelet. I'll just touch it. And it reminds me of a time where we were connecting, where we were having fun, we were laughing a lot, we were having a really good time. So it's something that grounds me. I just touch it. It's just a reminder, a practical reminder. So for me, sometimes that bracelet is happiness. Sometimes just reminding myself that, no matter how bad you feel today, sis, it could be worse. Sometimes that's how I get back into my happy. So I think deciding what is happy for you, understand this. If I can go back to what we talked about the last time, it's going to change. It's going to change from day to day, from scenario to scenario, from month to month, with birthday to birthday, right? As you get older, your ideas of happiness are going to change. So absolutely, it's different for everyone. Absolutely, we need to reframe it from time to time. But the biggest thing is to know that it really is what we make it, and we can decide to be happy, right? We can always decide to be happy.
Well,
Tann, I think it makes me. Oh, go ahead,
sorry.
Shelley.
Well, I'm also thinking there are times when you're you're supposed to be in a happy place, right? Let's say you're at Disneyland or whatever is supposed to be a happy place. And sometimes just down deep inside, you're not happy. So I think happiness also is internal. It's, how do you feel about yourself? And so happiness really isn't something that to me, a thing that can do it for you. Sometimes it's just even your mental state of what you can do to exercise things to bring yourself joy and happiness.
Yes. Yes. And that's exactly what I'm talking about when I say happiness is at hand. It is up to you. It's what you make it. It's 100% an inside job, Shelley. 100%. Contrary to popular opinion, there aren't many things that can make us happy outside of ourselves. We have to decide that. Like the birth of your children or your grandchildren. That's pretty happy. Watching your children flourish and thrive, that's fantastic, but that can switch in an instant. If your kid isn't feeling well, if your kid is sick, or if your kid isn't doing well in school or in life, et cetera, it can change. But then you always have to go back to internally, what is within your control, right? What is within your control to be happy in that moment? And if something isn't, the best scenario with your kid, let's say, for instance, with your kid is sick, then it's like, it's hard to feel grateful and happy when your child is not feeling well. But the thing is to remember, at least I'm here. At least I can be a support. At least, it's not worse. It's not worse, So all of that stuff sounds strange. It sounds like finding happiness through the back door. But sometimes you have to do that, right? Until you can arrive at that place that feels really comfortable, like really like happiness, right?
Tann, one of the things and I've probably mentioned this to both you ladies before, but I just say, if you can end each day in 51% joy, Like let 49% of your day be hard or rough, but 51%, you just want to tip. So when you lay your head on the pillow at night, you're like, all right, that wasn't too bad. And you're holding gratitude for the things that you do have, and putting your awareness and your focus and watering the things that do bring you joy. And just know that there's going to be rough things. There's going to be hard things. It's just part of being a human. You're going to have to wait in line. And sometimes there's not going to be toilet paper or paper towels or the vanilla or whatever the heck you needed at the market. Oh, well.
Exactly.
There's so many other things that you could be happy and focusing on. 51% joy. That I feel like that's doable, and it doesn't feel like such a far stretch.
I love 51% joy. And there's a quote that says, if you stand in line, your turn will come.
I like that.
So the joy of standing in line, on the other side of that, your turn will come, right? Your time to get the vanilla or the toilet paper or whatever you're there to get, or the Christmas gifts for your kids. Your turn is coming. And so think about your happiness like that. Like, even if your happiness is not at 100% today, maybe it's only at 49% to Eva's point, but your turn is coming. Your day, your moment of 100% or 99% happiness is coming. But how do you get present and really enjoy that 49% happiness right now?
Wow.
Yeah. It's
fantastic.
Being in that moment, being in that present, feeling yourself and looking around, bringing it all in, and just really holding gratitude for what we have. I think that's so huge. And even in, we got to wrap up, but even in the darkest times of my life, if all I could do was write down a few things I was grateful for, it made such a difference in my day. So if that's all you can do today, is just jot down like one or two or three things. It doesn't matter if it's the shower that you took.
Seriously.
Or the clean clothes. The little things can help us.
They mean so much. And I just want to say I'm grateful for you two ladies. I'm grateful for this platform. I'm grateful you keep inviting me back. And I would just second that. If the listeners could just try that today, write down 1, 2, 3, 30 things you're grateful for. You will feel an instant shift. You're going to feel, I'm not going to say you're going to go 0 to 100 better, but you're going to feel it go up a tiny bit. You're going to feel good.
Tann, thank you so much for taking the time for us and all of our listeners. We really appreciate you. You're amazing. Always good to see you.
Thank
you so much, Tann. And thanks everyone for being on our show today and for watching and tuning in. Feel free to hit that like, hit that bell, subscribe, put a comment down below. You know what? Share something that you are grateful for today. I want to know what that is. So let us know what you're grateful for today. Thank you again so much for being here. You can find us at settolove.com, and we love you. Have a great day. Stay set to love so you can flow for life.
Hit the bell.